Hey everyone, welcome back to my new YouTube series, Built from the Inside Out. And today I have with me founder of Fireyoup and director of Miss Texas Latina Pageant, Natalia Castillo.
Hi, Brianda Carrasco. How are you? It's so good to be here with you, sharing this space. Thank you so much for having me today, and I can't wait to just talk to you and to your audience. And congratulations on this new step.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for being here. I feel like you have a lot of good insight for everybody listening. So tell us a little bit more about yourself, what it is that you do. Tell us about Fireyoup, how we got started.
Yes, so a little bit more about me and how I got started with all of this. Born and raised in Colombia, Bogota. I was 18 years old when I graduated from high school in Bogota and moved to the United States. So it's been about 16 years since I've been living here in Houston, Texas. And since I moved here, everything has just been one thing after the other. The first pretty much goal that I had was learning English. Spanish is definitely my first language, and I was very focused on that, on educating myself, learning a new language, and opening more doors and opportunities. So after that happened, and I was here for about a year and a half, I started to realize that this country is absolutely amazing, full of opportunity. So I decided to stay here instead of moving back to my home country. And then I went to school. I do feel that education is the number one thing that people should focus on, and it's something that people cannot take away from you is education. So I went to school. I went to U of H, and I graduated in 2012 with a degree in communications, advertising, marketing, all that fun stuff in communications. After that, I was able to get a job in my field at a company called 6 Foot. They were the most amazing gift that God gave me. I believe that when you put yourself out there and you really do your best, even if you don't know exactly what you're doing and how you're doing it, I feel like having a good attitude and really putting yourself out there and networking really opens doors. So this is how I found this job. And in that job, I was there for about 10 years. I learned a lot as far as production, behind the scenes, a little bit of event planning, corporate events, just a little bit of everything that had to do with my field and branding, advertising, and events. And I also met my husband there at 6 Foot. So really 6 Foot was a beautiful stepping stone that God allowed me to go through in order to be where I am today. During my time at 6 Foot, I was able to also be invited to compete at a beauty pageant. A friend of mine invited me to compete at Miss Houston Latina back in 2014, and that's how I got involved with the organization, and I started doing pageants. And then, I mean, the story is long, but long story short, after I competed and I finished my reign, I was given the opportunity to direct the pageant, and now I'm the director of Miss Texas Latina. I feel very blessed to have this opportunity. And during that process, I was looking at the different ways that women were growing through the process, and also other women were very interested in how they could be better. And I knew that there was a market for girls that maybe were not so much interested in the pageant aspect of things or the crown and the sash. And that's where Fireyoup was born. I have a huge passion for helping women find themselves and really find confidence within themselves. So that is Fireyoup. That is a little bit about me. And thank you again for having me.
Yeah, of course. So I remember I met you through Diego, a makeup class, and then you asked me to join your pageant. And at that time, I had very low self-esteem, was going through things in my life. I didn't think I could. I just never imagined myself on stage. Like, obviously, it's maybe every little girl's dream to, either be on TV, be on stage of some sort. But I just had, my low self-esteem was just so low that I didn't think I could do it. And I remember when I met you, you had this energy about you. You were like so positive, and probably the most positive person I ever met. And I remember thinking, like, I need to surround myself with people like that. I was like, I want to be her friend. I want that energy to rub off on me. And then when I started doing the pageants, like, I feel like you completely changed my mentality. I know it was a process. I competed twice, and that's why I came back, because what you offer those girls is, and I feel like maybe a lot of people focus more on the crown when they're doing pageants, and they don't necessarily think about all the good things that your pageant leaves them. Because I've done other pageants and all you do is compete. but you provide classes for the girls. You have different workshops for us. And so going back to you being so positive, have you always been this way, or?
Yes, I could say I grew up in a very positive environment. Back in Colombia, I was a very sheltered child, grew up in a Christian family, and went to a private school. I do feel like being protected from the world, the real world, kind of puts you in that mindset of, oh, people are good, always looking in the good in people. Sometimes that can be a good thing, and sometimes that can be a bad thing, because once you're faced with reality and how really people are or the world is, then you get a little like, thrown off.
Yeah.
So that happened to me when I moved here at 18 years old. I was a little confused about, how people could be also evil and there is also really bad in the world. But it's finding that balance. I feel like it's finding the balance of knowing that people do have great qualities, good things, and looking at the good in people has helped me develop this organizations. Just like you mentioned, when I met you, all I could see is a beautiful potential, amazing, huge potential girl, and I was like, oh my God, she is beautiful. So I do feel like growing up in an environment where my parents taught me to always look at the good in people has helped me just see the potential in the girls, and that's my fire. That's where I really love and I thrive, is seeing the transformation and how people can go from point A to point B. And it's just fascinating to me to help women like yourself that have so much to offer this world, to really believe and see what we see. So that's what the pageant has been about. And like you mentioned, I always encourage the girls, do not focus so much on winning that crown. It's not about that, because it's the journey, is what you learn through the process and getting to know yourself. So that's where I think the positivity has come from, is my my values, my family. I am grateful to have that base and that foundation. And I also feel like when you have that, you shouldn't keep it to yourself, and you shouldn't just be positive to yourself. Like, why don't you just spread that and then make someone's life a little better?
Yeah, and I feel like you've done that for a lot of people. So I only did pageants with you. I haven't done Fireyoup yet. So tell me a little bit more about how that works. So taking out the crown, taking out the competition aspect of it, how does that environment change with the girls? How is it different?
Yes, I feel like it's very different, because the girls are more relaxed. Since they're not really competing with each other. There is that psychological aspect of, okay, I'm not here to win this one thing, or they don't look at each other as, I'm going against you and how am I going to get that? It's more focused on me versus me. And you still see a before and after, and it's more about changing yourself and knowing that you're going to go through this process, and it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be something pretty to find a lot of things about yourself that you didn't know, but also how you turn it around, and how at the end you look back and you're like, you know what, I'm a better person than I was when I started the program. It's very focused on mental health. That has been my platform since I started competing in pageants in 2014, and that has been the base of everything. I believe that having good mental health and having those good self-care habits and all those things really make a difference in how you relate to other people. So that's the focus of Fireyoup, is bringing that awareness to mental health.
That's awesome. Do you want to talk a little bit about why that's such a near and dear topic to you?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like everything that we go through in life helps us, and is up to us to turn it around and make it something great. And what you learn from those experiences can serve to someone else who has been through it. So I actually experienced a very deep clinical depression in 2008. Was diagnosed with clinical depression, had to go back to Colombia, leave my work, leave my career in the middle of everything. I literally had to stop and go back. It all started when I was very focused on not gaining weight. I was very worried about when I moved to the United States, like, I don't want to gain weight. You have all these stereotypes and these thoughts in your mind. Like, I didn't want to just completely lose myself and gain all this weight. And it was not the best approach to go about it, because at the end of the day, you have to do it the healthy way, to exercise, eat healthy. But a friend of mine, she suggested this like pills that, oh my god, you should totally just do them, they're great, like they don't make you hungry. I didn't really do a lot of research on that, and I was like, okay, yes, great, if it's gonna keep me fit and in shape, that has always been one of my goals. But I've always had a healthy life. I didn't have to do that. But sometimes when you're young, you focus on,
you start comparing yourself to other people.
Yes, and then you start just being so hard on yourself, and that has been one of the things that you're just like looking for this perfect body at all times, and that doesn't really, that's not real. That doesn't exist. We all have cellulite, we all have stretch marks. It doesn't matter how fit you are, you can always have those flaws. So I do feel like nowadays, like with social media, I feel like all these young women have to live up to so like crazy expectations of, I have to have a perfect this, perfect that, and I'm like, well, there's Photoshop. There's a lot of a lot of editing. So I was very immature, and I do think that mistake in a way has been one of the best things that happened to me, because I started to go back to the story on how it happened. I started taking these pills, and within 3 months I completely collapsed. My body, just my mind, my body, everything collapsed, and it was a trigger to already a genetics that I do have in my family. There is mental health issues and depression and bipolar disorder, so that triggered the that gene, because I feel like, you know, a lot of people don't know they have it in them, and something triggers it. So I feel like that's exactly what happened, and then it was a chemical imbalance. But I was so confused, because when you don't know what depression is, what bipolar disorder is, all that stuff, you're confused. I was like, what happened to me? It was a feeling of, I lost myself. It was a feeling of, where is my mind? It was such a weird feeling, and it's hard to explain. But once you go through it, then you understand that depression is not just being sad or having a bad day or crying. It goes way beyond that. It's a biological condition, and you have to take care of it. Just when you have diabetes or when you have cancer, whatever condition that you have to treat it and directly treat the mind and all the levels of chemistry in your brain. So that's what happened. I completely collapsed, and I had to go back to Colombia and get a full treatment. So I was there for a full year, and I could say it was the hardest and darkest year of my life. Like I said, I thought I had lost everything that I had built here was gone, and I didn't want to live anymore. I remember calling my dad and telling him, you know what, like, this is, thank you for everything you've done for us, like, it's time for me to go. So I was literally to a point of giving up on life, and I feel like God has allowed me to go through that journey, because now we're sitting here, and every time that I look at Fireyoup or I think about it, I'm like, wow, there is a reason why you go through your struggles and you go through difficult things.
Oh, I'm getting teary-eyed.
Yes.
No, but that's awesome. And a lot of people don't understand. Sometimes we go through things and we're like, a lot of people are like, why me? Why God? And we don't realize maybe He's molding us, to be able to be used by Him as instruments and help other people, because you've reached a lot of people through your pageants, through your social media, through Fireyoup, and it's like a direct connection with the person. Like you and I, it's not like just some random person that I'm following on social media, but there's really not that connection. But with you, it's like, working on stuff every day, when they join your programs, and you bring in different people to talk to us. You had psychologists. That's how I met Rob Artiega, who was on my first episode. I remember that day. It kind of blew my mind. We were all sitting around in a circle, and he asked us, I don't know if you remember what he asked us, because I can't remember what he asked, but we all ended up having to share a difficult part of us, or do you remember what the question was?
I don't remember exactly how he focused it on, but I think that he starts that class or that specific workshop with telling more about an episode or a dark episode in your life and how you've overcome.
Something like that. Yeah, and I remember, as every girl went and told her story, I was like, holy crap, I would have never imagined someone going through that. And then it just kind of makes you realize everyone has a hard story. Everyone goes through stuff. It's not just, a lot of people out there feel like, oh, I went through this, and they kind of play like the victim card, like, poor me, this and that, or why did I have it so hard? This person, has a great life. When in reality, and they're comparing their life to the other person's life, when in reality, that person probably went through some pretty tough times too. You just don't know about it. 'Cause people don't walk around like telling everybody like, oh, this happened to me,
Yes.
So
I agree.
I remember it just like blew my mind. I was like, some stuff was like really deep, yes. And I looked at them, and they were sitting there. We had just hung out the day before. They seemed so normal, which they're normal, but it's just like, wow, like you're going through all this, and you never even showed any signs of you going through something so difficult.
And that's why it's important to be kind to everyone, because you never know what they're going through at that time, and they could have a beautiful face, great body, amazing makeup, and you have no clue what they're going through, or maybe not them directly at that time, but it could be a family member, it could be something that they're living with at home, and they don't even know how to deal with it. So I feel like being kind and being compassionate is extremely important, and I do feel that God allowed me to go through that for me to open my eyes a little more and have a more realistic perspective about life and what really mattered. Because I remember when I started overcoming the depression and I went through this treatment to get out of it, there were many factors that got me out of it. And I always tell people when they ask me, how do I get out of depression? Like, I'm going through this difficult time. And I always tell them there are 5 different elements that you have to have in order to get out. Because sometimes people feel, okay, it's just one thing, or it's a quick fix, or you can just get out of it and be done. And I believe, and I strongly believe, that in my case, what got me out of it was, first of all, my faith. I feel like when you have faith for something higher in you, whatever it is that you believe in, I believe that keeps you going, and it keeps that hope inside of you that something higher and outside in the world is keeping me alive. The other thing was having a support system, a good support system, and people surrounding yourself with people that are going to pull you up. And you mentioned this earlier. It's so important to have a good positive environment, and getting rid of people that bring you down, getting rid of people that just make you not believe in you or make you feel less than you are. I feel like that's super important. So faith, support system, fitness, and nutrition. I feel like that is my medicine. I always tell people, because sometimes people ask me, oh, you already look great, like you have a great body, why do you work out so much and eat healthy? And I tell them, without that, I don't have my mental health. Mental health is not a quick fix, and it's not like out of the blue you're just healthy. It's a daily effort that you have to make. There are days that I don't feel good. There are days that I don't want to get out of bed. There are days that I feel depressed. And I remember the triggers and the things that I have to do in order to never go back to what I was before. So it's knowing yourself and catching those things that you know is going to be, affect you. So fitness and nutrition. The other one is definitely having a very, very strong belief in there is a purpose behind what you're going through. So when you're depressed, just understand and know that the answer is going to reveal itself after you go through that crisis. Whatever it is, even if it's whatever condition that you have, just know that there is something more than just that crisis. So it's just having that understanding that even if the world is collapsing on top of you, you still have that. And then the other one, and the final one, is once again understanding that whatever happened at that time, whatever caused you that depression or whatever it is, that is also your responsibility. So it's understanding that as long as you understand and you know that you have the power and the control and the responsibility over your mind and your body, will give you, in a way, a sense of confidence that you can turn it around and you can actually switch it. And one thing that I forgot to mention was also medicine. People are very against traditional medicine for those conditions, but sometimes it's necessary to be able to balance your brain again. And I know there's a lot of stereotypes and a lot of bad just ideas behind medicine, but sometimes is necessary to get out of an episode where it's like really bad. So those are the 5 things that really helped me, just kind of overcome my depression.
Yeah. And actually, I like what you said, like how you go through something for a reason. And actually, Juan and I were talking about this last night. How, I know that not everyone's religious, but you and I, we believe in the Bible. He believes in the Bible. So we're talking about how that story where God gives them, I don't remember what it is, like talents, and he tells them to go and do something with them, and then some of them come back with more, and then some of them buried them, and then they just come back with the same amount that he gave them. And then that's basically what it is. Like, he gives us a purpose, like we all have. And it's through different ways. Some of us, some people do it through music. Some people do it through comedy. Some people do it through motivational programs, speeches. Like, everyone plays a different role in society, and we just have to find what it is and not keep it to ourselves. Like, if you go through something really dark and you feel like your testimony can help somebody, then share it and do something with it. And I just love how you took that really dark time in your life and you said, this is my purpose, this is what God wants me to do, and you're out here helping all these girls. So I love it. And
thank you. It hasn't been easy. It has not been an easy journey. I feel like once you put yourself out there and you expose yourself to just in a way be a leader of this kind of issues, we deal with a lot of insecure women. We deal with a lot of people that have really dark past, people that have been through a lot. So in a way, you have a huge responsibility. I feel like I have a big responsibility of whoever I bring into the team, and the experts that I bring have to be so well selected, handpicked, because I feel like they're gonna have a huge impact on these women that are so vulnerable and that are ready and hungry to learn more and how to get out of whatever they're going through. So I always ask God, and I pray, I'm like, God, just allow me to just make an impact on these women, and also that my team and the people the experts that I bring on board understand the mission. And that has been a huge blessing. God has brought to my life so many wonderful people like Rob Arteaga. I was just listening to that episode, which was awesome. And Aaron Zambrano as well. That
his is really good too. Yeah,
so
I can't wait for you to listen to it.
Stay tuned for that one. I can't wait. But all these people are, in a way, angels in my path, and I prayed to God that this mission continues to spread. And it is not easy, and there have been times where I'm like, oh my God, this is so hard. I think I'm just gonna go do my own thing and not do either the pageant or Fire You Up. And then I remember why, and I feel like that is the main thing. Every time that you're questioning yourself or doubting yourself, if you have a strong purpose and if you have that main reason why you're doing it, and I've seen the transformations in the girls, that's what keeps me going. Like seeing women like you, seeing women that are just everything that you are today is like, oh my God, I saw this. And I feel like that keeps me going, and that's my fire, is making that impact and seeing the relationships that also build within the pageant. There's a lot of candidates and also participants of Fire You Up that start doing business together or become really close friends, and all that is awesome. And there are some that just kind of move on with their lives and they keep going, but I know for a fact that if they went through the program, they got at least something out of it, one positive thing about it. And if they say yes, so I think it's important to keep that in mind, that the main purpose is that changing, touching people's in positive ways, and that's what I'm here.
Yeah, and I keep hearing you saying that fire. So is that where the name comes from?
Yeah, so the name of Fire You Up was something that I went through. For people that have built their own business, they understand finding names for an organization or a business is not an easy task. Right. But there was something about the saying or the phrase, I'm fired up. I would hear it a lot. And in Spanish, it doesn't really translate directly, like I'm fired up. But every time that I would hear it, the meaning of that, it was, there is something inside of you that gets you up in the morning and that keeps you going. So Fire You Up, that's why it was kind of born from that. When you have that passion and that fire in you, I feel like you can accomplish so much, and you feel more confident, and you feel like, oh my God, yes, I can do this. And I always tell girls, you're not always going to feel that motivation. You're not always going to wake up feeling like you're going to conquer the world. That's not realistic. There are going to be bad days, but as long as you keep that flame cooking and going, I feel like you're going to continue spreading it. And just like fire, it spreads really quickly. Yes.
I love it. I was trying to think how you would say it in Spanish.
Enciéndete.
Oh, okay. I was thinking about lumbre. I'm like, estoy en lumbre. O sea, what?
Enciéndete.
That's a good one. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I guess the
good.
slogan is find the fire in you. So yeah, encuentra el fuego en ti.
See, I like it. Okay, so some of the questions that I had written down before was, how do you define mental health? Which I think you kind of covered it. Do you want to add anything
Spend
else
a little
to it?
bit? Yeah, I feel like mental health is based 100% on having a good balance in life. There are a lot of people that focus so much on making money or having the best body, and that's all they care about. They're obsessed over having a good body or having a good health or having a good relationship of being married. Or so I feel like having mental health is having a balance in which you can enjoy every area of your life in a balanced way, where you can actually feel happy where you are without having to always feel like you're lacking something, and having a content but not out of this world happiness. Sometimes happiness, people think like is this thing that you can touch, and happiness really is not something you can just buy or just get from one place or the other. Many people worry about, okay, when I get married I'll be happy, when I have kids I'll be happy, and it's always this chase for this thing that is called happiness, but it's like, what is really that? I feel like it comes from being content today and being present in the moment. I feel like that's mental health, is knowing that today you did your absolute best with what you had, and there are days that maybe doing our best doesn't compare to a day before or a year before when you're more successful or you feel happier. I feel like mental health has to do with balance, doing your best today, being present, and really, once again, feeling that gratitude. I think that gratitude goes hand in hand with mental health, because the minute that you feel you're lacking, that's when everything starts getting unbalanced, and you're coming from a place of, I wish I had this, I wish I had that, when really, when we compare ourselves with other people, it put things into perspective, and that's when we're like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna focus on gratitude, living a balanced life, and doing my best today. So those are my definitions of mental health.
Yeah, and I've actually come to find out the same thing. Balance is so important, because I can be an extremist sometimes. Like, I'll be like all about something and focus all my energy on it, and then, you know, forget about everything else, and then I realize I'm not all that happy. And I feel like that's why, you know, Juan's so good for me, because I'm very like, I need to do this and it has to be done this way, and my life is like all about this, and he's like, no, come over here, let's go have some fun, let's go do something. And, you know, and it like keeps me like my mind in check, like, okay, I need to not obsess over things, because I'm very obsessive. I can be, when I want something, I obsess over it, and I
think we have that in common.
Yes,
we're like very black and white. Go all out.
We're all out or all out. And it shouldn't be that way. Finding that balance is extremely important. Yeah. So going back a little bit to pageants, how did pageants affect your life? Like, what impact did they have on you?
I could say a huge impact. I'm definitely not the same woman I was before I competed. When the opportunity presented to me, it was something I had never thought about doing. In Colombia, pageants, as you know, in Mexico as well, in Venezuela, like the women look a certain way. They're very tall, very perfect, So I never really saw myself as a beauty queen. I never even thought about it. But the more I was exposed to it, and when I went through my experience, I noticed that there is a huge impact, and is a great platform to actually share your story once again, have a platform, and with that sash and that crown, impact other women. And not only with the sash and the crown, I feel like once you join the pageant, you already have a spotlight on you, and I do feel like other women get inspired through the journey. Same thing with the fitness competitions. You've seen when we compete and we get on that stage, we inspire other women that are watching. And I always tell my girls, people are watching, and it is very important that what you do can impact someone in a negative way or a positive way. So going through pageants was a huge eye-opener for me. And I love how pageants actually are a parallel in a analogy how life really works, because every time we wake up in the morning, our stage is there. The world is your stage. People are going to judge you, like you have judges at a panel, and then also when you trip, on stage. Let's say there are girls that maybe are like, oh my god, I didn't answer this right, or I didn't this right. In life you're gonna make mistakes. In life you're gonna trip on stage. But I feel it's how you react and how you actually handle those difficult situations. Pageantry teach you how the show must go on, life must go on. There are many things that go against us, many things, people judging us, people criticizing us, and I'm sure you've gone through this as well.
Absolutely.
Being on the spotlight, people talking bad about you, people criticizing, judging the way you do things, how you say things, how you handle things. And I feel like pageantry teaches you those skills of the show must go on. People can judge you, but as long as you do your absolute best, and if you don't win, you did your best.
Yes. And so at the end of the day, that's what really matters.
At the end of the day, that's what matters. So pageantry is something so special, and I do want to continue spreading the word and changing the stereotypes that pageants are just superficial, or pageants are all about just physical beauty, because it's really not. Once you understand the power of your voice, it truly changed. Like when you were my beautiful queen, which was amazing. I love the year of impact that we had, and how the little kids would just look up to you and see you in this light. So it brings back to the value of knowing who you are, what you can offer to the world, and with a simple smile. Like we went to many different community service events, and it's so simple when you feel like, oh, I have to have money to help someone, or I have to have this to change someone's life. And it's as simple as being there and making them feel wanted, special. So pageants are very special to my heart.
Oh my God. Yeah. I loved my year because I had always wanted to work with kids with disabilities, and I just never knew, nobody around me volunteered, nobody around me ever did anything. So I'm like, do I just show up by myself? I'm like, how does this work? And then when I got into pageantry, I was like, this is my platform and this is what I want to do, and I just try to do the most with it. And it was so rewarding.
Yes.
And talking about the show must go on, I remembered that night when I won, my earring fell off, and I was doing my evening walk, and I just kept smiling and walking. Nothing happened here. My earring sliding down my shirt or my dress, and I'm like, it's okay. And nobody noticed. And I asked people, I'm like, did you see my earring fall? And they're like, no, you didn't even react to it. I'm like, okay, good.
Yes.
So yes, absolutely. Just act like nothing happened. Just keep going.
Just keep going and know where you're going. So once you look at the big picture, which in that case that night was, you knew where you were going. You were asking God, if this is for me, this is for me. You kept walking with so much grace and poise. And I remember when you did the winning interview with Telemundo, there was no earring there, but you were still glowing with so much grace. And I was like, so proud. And you came back because you didn't win the first time. And I do feel like that's huge.
Yes.
Because many girls get discouraged, or they get upset at the organization because they didn't win. And I'm like, girls, you did win. You got something great out of it. You got friendships, you got sponsorships, connections, networking. And the fact that you came back and you're so determined and so you knew what you wanted and how you wanted. And God also had a purpose for you, because I feel like we should focus on that as well. It's not just like, okay, just winning because I want to be famous. No, it's not that. It's what happens behind that victory and how you're going to use it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I recently read a book. It's called Extreme Ownership. And, making yourself accountable for everything. Wow. And I feel like that's kind of what I did. So my first year I went in there, it was my first time really, well, it was my second time competing in a pageant, but I don't count the first one because I literally went in there blind, not really knowing anything. Yes. But with you, it was like, okay, I had a little bit more knowledge. I knew, okay, I should have done this, I should have done that. I knew how to prepare a little bit better.
Yes.
And so when I didn't win, I got first runner up. And then so I went back and I looked at myself and I was like, where did I fail? What did I do wrong? I wasn't like, oh, those judges were unfair, or oh, why did they pick her? No, I was like, I did something, because, if I would have really been on point, I would have won the crown. So I went back and I'm like, okay, I know I can better my interview. I know I can better my walk. I know I can better my body. So then I looked for the best coaches, or not the best coaches, but the coaches that I had seen were, had given good results to other girls. So I scheduled interview practices. I scheduled walking lessons. I hired Aaron to train me. And so when I came back, I had a better idea. I was better prepared. And then that's when I won. So a lot of the time the girls don't take the time to look at themselves and be like, where did I go wrong, or what can I do better?
Yes.
They kind of go into the like I've talked about, I just hate when people go into like the victim phase, and
Yes.
I don't know, I don't like that. It's like, and this book that I recently read is by this SEAL, this Navy SEAL, and when I saw it, I was extreme ownership, and I was just listening to it, and I was like, yes. Yes. That's what I've been preaching. Yeah.
And it's taking ownership, like you're saying, being responsible of your own actions and how you can improve yourself. I feel like another huge thing about pageantry and what you were just saying is the fact that when you get to know yourself and when you really know those areas, your strengths, your weaknesses, you're way more prepared to actually go out there and face your challenges, whatever it is that you're facing. If it's a job interview, if it's a pageant, if it's a fitness competition, any challenge that you have, when you know yourself and you know those things about you, then you're way more confident and prepared, knowing that, okay, in this area I'm a little weak here, so I have to put a little more effort here. In this area I'm really, really good. Okay, I have to stay humble on this one. So it's once again having that kind of balance and self-awareness of who you are and what you can bring to the table. Yes.
And I think that's sometimes it is hard, kind of like looking in the mirror and being like, where is the ugly at? Like, it sounds bad, but it's like, where can I improve? And just like accepting, okay, you know what? I could be better at this, or I could really be better if I just did this. And that goes in, and not only physical or like, nothing shallow. It's like inside. And that's why I called it Built from the Inside Out, because, you have to work from the inside out.
And that will show in whatever you do.
Exactly.
Absolutely. I love it.
All right. So tell us a little bit about how Fireyoup works. Like it's a workshop, right? So the girls, is it like a weekend thing? Is it a few weeks?
So it's a self-discovery program, and we've done 2 seasons so far, and then COVID hit. We were ready to do the season number 3 in April. We had to postpone that, but the 2 seasons that we've done is 4 to 6 weeks of training, and as every weekend we focus on something different. So once again, we start with definitely mental health as being the number one thing, and we build from there. Our focus is also providing women the opportunity to better themselves in the educational and ¿cómo se dice? Laboral, like the part
like
where
in a career.
In a career, yes, absolutely. Career development. That's exactly what I was trying to say. So in career development of how it doesn't matter if you're a mom of 5 kids, if you are a single mom, whatever it is that you are, whatever stage you're in your life, you can always have a life skills and career development skills in which you can present yourself, open your own business, or go and interview for a job. So that's one of the main focuses also, is mental health, career development, and at the end of the day, it's also making those connections. So it's a little bit of everything.
So working on mental health, networking, learning how to, if maybe there's like a business you want to do, how to go about it, or there's a career, a job that you want to get, how to like grow in that aspect.
Yes, and we start from basics of finances and how you do a budget, like things that sometimes people think, oh my god, that's so easy, everybody knows how to do that, or everybody knows how to write a resume, or and it looks like some women don't know how to do it. Not everyone knows. So I want Fireyoup to be that one thing that people can go to as a source of knowledge in all these areas, in the mental health, career development, and fitness and nutrition will always be also something that we're passionate about. Aaron Zambrano has been our coach, and he is an amazing mentor for all these women. As you know, he works a lot with your mindset.
He does.
Not so much about go to the gym and eat, but why you do it and how to overcome those mental blocks that we have when we're trying to achieve anything in life. And going back to showing women how to live a healthier lifestyle, and it's not so much about the one thing that you do, but it's a complement of other things. So it's an eye-opener program in which we focus on that, on helping women and giving them experiences in which they can get to know themselves. They can see, oh, maybe I'm passionate about this. Maybe this career would be good for me. What is my purpose? So it kind of shakes your whole life as far as like, okay, wake up. What is it that you want to do? Meet other women, get inspired by their stories. So it's a mix of all of this combined in one little flame. So the 2 seasons that we did this year were 4 to 5 weeks. Okay. And then we have like a graduation process in which they invite their friends and family to witness their transformations and all of this. And then this year, since everything is so crazy, we are going to do a 2-day experience just to give an opportunity for women to, instead of having to block 5 weekends or 6 weekends, they can do it all in one weekend. Oh, okay. So we're doing a little bit of that, and then next year we'll probably go back to regular seasons. Okay. It's just all that, but the concept is self-discovery and really learning on how to know yourself, what triggers you, and all of that.
I love it. So if somebody wants to sign up for it, how do they do that?
I would recommend just going to our Fireyoup website. It's fireyoup.com. And you can see all the upcoming events. If we have any announcements, you can definitely also follow us on social media at Fireyoup with only one U. So it's Fireyoup, only one U. And it is a... like I said, is every season we're bringing something different, something new. But at the end of the day, the main focus is just finding that fire again in you. And it's okay to sometimes lose that fire, because many women are like, well, I used to have it and I don't have it anymore.
Right, yeah.
You can always ignite it again. You can always shake yourself off and wake up again and do it. So I feel very blessed to have this opportunity and to have this platform to not only touch Latina young women, but now we're expanding completely to all cultures and all backgrounds, all ages as well. Because I feel like some women feel like they reach an age and they're like, oh, I'm too old to learn something. You're never too old to learn something.
Yeah, I've heard the day you stop learning is the day you die.
You die. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so a few more questions.
Yes.
How do you deal with negativity?
Yes, this is a tough question, but I would say that going back to knowing that you're doing your best and accepting your flaws, accepting the things that maybe you're not that good at. I feel like as long as you have that and you have that sense of acceptance and also knowing that you've done your absolute best, then you don't have to prove anything to people that are being negative, or you don't have to answer back. You don't have to get on a fight with somebody that's attacking you. I strongly believe that the way you handle negativity in situations says a lot about you, because the minute that you react to negativity, or the minute that you actually like let it get to you or completely like unshake you or unbalance you, then in a way you're giving away that power and that confidence that lives within you. So I feel like the one thing is, as long as you have a strong communication with God, and you know that, hey God, you know I'm doing my absolute best, and you know my heart, and you know what I'm trying to achieve, that gives you a ton of peace and a sense of confidence and peace, once again, tranquility, that you're doing your best. And just bless those people that are being negative. Bless those people that is a reflection more of what they're going through and their experiences and their own past and the way they look at things. I feel like another big thing about how to deal with negativity is respecting other people's opinion, and knowing that I have my opinion, they have theirs. And if there is respect in not, once again, trying to attack the person or defend yourself. There is no need to defend yourself. There are many people that are like, no, you need to defend them, or you need to reply back. You don't need to reply back. You don't need to defend yourself. So that's how I deal with it. I know people have different approaches to negativity and how they deal with it. But in my personal opinion, I feel like having peace within yourself, that you're doing your absolute best, and that yes, as humans sometimes you make mistakes, and there things that happen.
I love that. And sometimes it's hard not to reply or to say something. I remember, like, especially when I had just gone out of Hexatlon, I would get all these comments, and I'm like, that is so dumb. Like, I just You know, like I just want to reply. Like someone will say like, oh, perdiste porque no eres humilde. And I just wanted to be like, what? Like, is this like is like a humility like a, you know, what do you think we were out there doing? Like, this is not about humildad. Like, first of all, like, you don't know me to say that.
I know, and you're like the most humble woman.
And second of all, that's not what we were competing on. But, you know, and something that I was like, try to remember now, it's something Lorena told us, you know, she was like, you know, focus on the positive comments. She was like, reply to those people who take the time out of their day to say something nice to you.
Yes.
And, you know, just ignore the negative ones. Don't even take the time out of your day to respond to them.
Yes.
So, yeah, I love your approach. I think that's very smart.
Absolutely. And like you're saying, is spending your energy and your time on the people that do value what you bring to the table. And once you do that, then once again, your focus and your energy shifts into the most positive people that are in your life. And the ones that are not, or the ones that are negative about it, they're just, you know, they're
and a lot of the times, yeah, it's, you know, it's a mirror of what they're going through or how they're feeling. You know, and because, I mean, if you're going to take the time to write something negative on someone you don't even know, on someone's page, you don't even know them, it's like myself, I wouldn't do that if I'm happy. You know, like, why would I want to go and do something negative to somebody else if I'm really happy?
Exactly.
So usually it's like, you know, a reflection of themselves. Right? Mm-hmm. So you talked about going through, you know, the whole mental health process. So sometimes maybe like the family of those people or the friends of those people, maybe they don't realize when someone is going through that. I remember when I did Diego's program, we had a guest come in and she asked, you know, how many girls have dealt with depression or anxiety or any type of mental health issue. And it was all anonymous, and, you know, she took out the cards, and out of 10, it was like 7. And I looked at her and I was like, what the heck? Like, I would have never imagined, because, you know, we were spending time together every weekend, but I would have never guessed. So what would you recommend to like family members, friends of those people? Because I feel like if you're not yourself going through it, it's very hard for you to understand that person.
Yes.
And, you know, a lot of people are like, well, just suck it up, or like, just be strong. But it's like, you don't understand because you're not there.
Yes. I feel like that is a huge stressor for families. Sometimes parents deal with kids that have conditions, but they don't understand exactly what they're going through or why they're acting the way they're acting. And it creates a lot of confusion, a lot of frustration. And sometimes when we don't have the right tools to handle, the situation can get even worse. Because whatever it is that your family member is going through, they don't feel understood. And next thing you know, it creates a whole new level of negativity at home, in an environment of a lot of discomfort, a lot of just negativity. And I feel like that doesn't help the family member, and it doesn't help the person who's going through it either.
Right.
So I highly recommend, when you know that there is something off or there is something wrong, usually you know when something is off, and whatever it is, your family member, your sister, your brother, your dad, whatever it is, the who we're talking about, I believe that the most important thing is seeking for help. I think that instead of waiting too long until the situation gets out of hand, it is very important to seek for professional help in psychologists and psychiatrists when the case is, you know, very bad, and educating yourself in the different conditions that there are, understanding and doing research on symptoms and what it means to see those patterns in people. Because usually when you're going, let's say, for example, through depression, there are patterns that start repeating itself. So if you're not paying attention to those things that are happening, like maybe you're sleeping way too long, or you're just have zero motivation to do anything, you start like withdrawing from social interactions. So those are all symptoms and signs and red flags that I feel is very important to catch them at an early on season, instead of waiting until the condition gets worse and worse and worse, and it gets out of hand. And once it gets out of hand, then I feel like then it goes to another level of craziness, because then people start relying on alcohol, drugs, and then that's another crazy thing that opens up for the family. So once again, is paying attention to those early symptoms, seeking for help, and understanding that this is mental health issues and disorders are just like any other condition, as far as diabetes or any other condition that needs to be treated. And there is a process in order to get out of it. So I highly recommend that, in following the other steps that I was saying to keep yourself balanced, is making sure you have those healthy habits, you have faith, and you have a great support system.
I love that. I feel like a lot of people are going to like that you gave them 5 things like to focus on. I love that. All right. So what would be some advice for people going through well, I guess the 5 steps would be, right? I think that's really good.
The 5 steps. Yeah. And also, not just for people that are going through it right now, but also to prevent getting to that point. So once again, is being self-aware of the different things that you're feeling and how you're what you're doing, how you're thinking. All those things is important to being very, very paying attention and being aware of, how am I sleeping? Am I exercising? Am I eating healthy? Am I surrounding myself with the right people? Am I feeding my spirit? Am I, exercising my faith? All those things are things that we have to keep in check, not just when crises come, but also to prevent from getting to a point like that. So as human beings, that's part of our job, and our responsibility is to make sure that those areas are taken care of, and finding where I'm low and where I need to actually pour more into. And I feel like 2020 has been the year where we actually have more time to really meditate and see, okay, what is really that I'm doing? Because sometimes I am a huge como se dice, like I go so fast that sometimes I don't pay attention to those things. And next thing you know, I'm like all burned out, and I'm like, oh my God, why am I feeling like this? When I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I haven't slept that well, or I haven't been to church in a long time, or different things that in a personal experience that happens, or exercising. So it's always kind of keeping yourself in check and doing like a self-test of how am I doing, and stopping for a second and realizing, okay, how am I treating my significant other? How am I relating to other people? Am I okay? So those things, I think, is important to take your time to make that a priority, to evaluate yourself every now and then to see how you're doing.
Yeah, I like that. And then for the last question, I think it's also important to know where it comes from, right? So what do you think like contributes to this? Maybe like bad childhood, low self-esteem, bad relationships, social media. We talked about how that also can maybe like some advice for girls, like stop comparing yourself, stop thinking that Instagram is real life.
Yes.
And like, I guess realizing where is this feeling coming from, and then addressing it and working on that as well.
Yes, definitely. So I think that those issues have different roots and different reasons why they happen. In many cases it's different. Like in my case was a more biological precondition that I had, and something triggered it to, go the other direction. Sometimes it's very painful childhood experiences that you have. Sometimes it's just trauma from an accident that happened, or maybe something bad happened to you and you didn't understand how to cope with those feelings, and then it turns into something else. And then once again, the social pressure of social media, where you're supposed to be doing, how people are looking at me, all that pressure can also crack you. So all those things, I feel like it's important to know what it is that personally affects you and triggers you, and then changing that or doing something about those things. So if you already know that being on social media for 2 hours a day gives you anxiety, or it keeps you up at night, or it takes your mental health or your well-being, and you don't feel you're 100%, then I'm not saying don't do it at all. I'm saying just cut back on it. Right. If you know, like for a fact, in my case, if I don't work out and I don't eat healthy, I instantly, like within days, like 2-3 days, I start feeling like really bad, like low energy. I don't have motivation. So those are things that you have to know what it is that is coming from, and do something about it.
Right.
Because once again, complaining about it and being the victim and all that doesn't
take you anywhere.
It doesn't take you anywhere. So once again, is learning those things and also adding to your daily agenda. There are things that I'm trying to add and implement in my life. At 33 years old, I'm still trying to reinvent myself and change that, because priorities change in your life.
Right.
And I'm trying to become a morning person, wake up earlier in the mornings, do a little bit of more meditation. Meditation has been a huge challenge for me. It is so hard for me to meditate.
Same.
So
I haven't been able to do it. I mean, I haven't put a lot of effort into it, but
but when I meet people that are like, I can meditate for 2 hours, I'm like, how?
What do you think about? Like when I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, oh, I should probably go do this. And then when we're meditating.
Yes, and that's one thing that my dad always reminds me of. My dad is one of my biggest mentors in my life. And even if he doesn't live here, we speak a lot. And one of the things that he says is that you have to learn how to be quiet, how to be with yourself, how to not always have to do something to feel that you're accomplishing or you're being productive. There are some times that actually success happens when you're just quiet and just calm down, and you don't have to always be achieving those goals and being so like, I have to do this, I have to do that. No, just finding that peace within you and enjoying a day without doing anything. That's tough for me, like not doing anything and enjoying myself. I always feel like, oh, let's go do this or that.
You're like, I'm wasting my time. I gotta go conquer the world.
Exactly. It feels like a waste of time. And no, he always tells me, don't look at it as a waste of time. It's actually an investment in that balance and finding that peace of mind. So I encourage everybody that's listening to this episode to really do some soul searching, to slow down and to really understand what triggers you, to write down the things that maybe bother you, or how when you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling sad, depressed, all those things. When do those things happen? Is it when you're hanging out with maybe someone who makes you feel that way or who drains your energy? Is it when you don't work out? Is it when you drink? Because alcohol is a huge depressor and people sometimes don't know that. So it's all of the self-discovery things that you gotta do.
Yes. And I 100% agree, because that's how I thought about this. Like starting this series, I was actually on my way to work. I was driving, and then out of nowhere, it just hit. And like as soon as it hit me, that's when I messaged you. Like I had nothing planned. I didn't know how I was gonna do it, but I was like, do you want to be my guest?
Yes. The answer will always say yes. I love the fact that we can work together, support each other's projects, and the concept of it is awesome, that you're bringing so much knowledge to people that need this, and I think that is extremely important. Mental health is number one, and it doesn't matter how much money we have, doesn't matter who we're married to. If we don't have that, we really don't have anything.
Exactly. I 100% agree. Yeah. So I'm so proud of you. So I just want to say, like, even though you went through all that, you were able to win Miss Houston Latina, Miss Texas Latina. You went on to win fitness competitions. How many?
3 back to back.
That's impressive. Yes, 3 back to back. Started your own business. Plus, you were working marketing at Six Food. I'm like, how does this woman do it? When does she sleep? And I'm just so proud of you. Proud of everything you've accomplished. And thank you so much for being here today.
Yes, I had a wonderful time chatting with you, and once again seeing the woman that I've always seen in you, and you have so much potential. This is once again just the beginning. I do feel like there's a lot more that's coming for you. I am super proud also of the accomplishments you're making and the people you're surrounding yourself with. It's super awesome too. And I know for a fact that this is just the beginning, and I love sharing these moments with you. I know that we're going to continue being in each other's lives. And we would love to have you at Fireyoup at one time if you want to join us.
Yes, absolutely. I do want to go, because I feel like your pageants were so good for me. I'm sure this is going to be really good for me too.
Amazing. I love it. Well, thank you, Bree.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.